Opus 4.6 just dropped. I'm calling it. This is the beginning of the end for OpenAI. And this is the official release. It came out 3 hours ago from when I recorded this video. So let's check this out together because I haven't watched this yet. Okay, what do we got? Okay. I know they talked about a $1 million million token context window. So we're gonna have to read into that. So before I get into some of the details here, I just want to go off of my claim real quick and just expound on my feelings and take on OpenAI. I feel like OpenAI is riding a hype wave, kind of like Claudebot or Moltbot or whatever they're calling it now is riding. And they're focusing so much time on creating hype around features like the ChatGPT app store, right? Or the agent store. That was a big thing, and it's really nothing that useful. And you got Sam Altman running around doing all these interviews rather than actually focusing on the things that push the needle forward for, let's say, software engineers. So OpenAI releases something, it's hype, everybody's excited, and then behind the scenes, you have Anthropic actually release like a quiet killer, a release on something that does what OpenAI has in mind, but a million times better. And just recently is Anthropic and Opus or Claude Code getting the type of response from the market that it really deserves, because I use it on a daily basis. And this jumped to 4.6, and here it is. Opus 4.6 features a 1 million token context window in beta. That is nutty because that's 5 times what we're used to, guys. We typically would just get a 200K token window, but they're blessing us with 1 million tokens. So a lot of this is pretty standard as far as what it can currently do. Okay, and then on a benchmark side, it's looking like it's totally overperforming on OpenAI's 5.2. It's beating 4.5. Okay, so let's come down and let's take a look at the rankings now. Okay, so we got 4.6 here, rating 1606, and Gemini. I'm sure Gemini is going to release some fire model here soon and upgrade to Gemini. But it looks like when 5.2 came out, it really wasn't that much further ahead than 4.5. But the model itself, I'll just give you my take on it. Opus is more pragmatic and logical as a language model, where like GPT out of the box, it's more of like a cheerleader and it's more optimistic and hype. What I use each of these models for are completely different. I use Opus for my actual work and development. I would use Gemini for Nano Banana or video creation. It's very, very great for those purposes. And GPT, I literally only use it for the simple fact that I have all my conversations and data stored there. I have custom GPTs, and it's just a little bit easier because it's already set up, but it's not much better than any of these other models. They can all do what GPT does. The only thing that I would rank GPT above some of these other models on is creating prompts, but even then, it's not a reason to stay with GPT anymore, guys. We're in the future of the future. Okay, so what are we looking at here? Agent teams. What does that mean? Okay, so on the API, Claude can use compaction. Okay, we knew about this. Without bumping up against limits, we're also introducing adaptive thinking, where the model can pick up on contextual clues about how much to use of its extended thinking. Okay, so it's a little bit more flexible there. It's more intelligent, and new effort controls to give developers much more control. All right, so this is about token efficiency. I see what they're trying to do. Everybody's doing their best to mitigate the amount of context rot with all these models. And I really think Anthropic is going to be the one to take it where it needs to go. Okay, so I'm not personally using Claude in Excel, but that's pretty cool. And Claude in PowerPoint, I would compare that to Notebook LM. If you guys don't know about Notebook LM, it's great because you can feed it all sorts of data and it can create like PowerPoints and slideshows for you, basically. So I'll have to check out what this looks like moving forward. So what's this? Let's speed this up. Okay. Actually, you know what? That's going to be really useful for when I have to do my taxes this year. I could probably just feed it all my statements and it can give me whole, because last year I spent so much time doing all that for my accountant. Man, we pay accountants too much and we pay the government too much. But we're not here talking about the IRS, are we? Okay, so it looks like the ability to think more deeply, actually it might increase the token cost for problems or situations that are maybe less complex and need less reasoning. So let's see, /effort. Okay, so I guess if you're booting up a session where it's maybe just quick back and forth and you just want to be more conversational, you could put it to like the low setting, and then I guess you could just correspond with whatever your purposes are when using it. But I think this is really good to know moving forward. I'll have to see over time how much better it gets with my general Claude Code usage, and I'll probably give you guys updates in shorts. So a lot of this is pretty just general marketing stuff. Man, Replit, I'm so glad to be done with them. Before I was just using them solely, and I spent way too much money with them. But things are looking up for Opus, and here's some other ratings. Opus is taking the lead on agentic terminal coding. We already know that. Opus 4.5. Why would it be less than 4.6? But it's marginal, super small. Okay, so they're really taking the lead on pretty much everything here, except for, I guess, graduate level reasoning. That would make sense. Like I was talking about with prompting, it's pretty good at that. Visual reasoning, we'd give it the Gemini for the generative AI image and video. Multilingual. Well, I'm not using Claude for any of these, and it's so close that it doesn't even matter for me, because I could just use Claude in my terminal for everything, and Claude Code has access to all of my tools, Chrome and browser. Like, it doesn't get any better than this, guys. So what does this say here? Let me highlight this. Okay, on the 8-needle 1M variant, a needle in a haystack benchmark that tests the model's ability to retrieve information hidden in a vast amount of text. Opus 4.6 scores 76, whereas Sonnet 4.5 scores just 18.5. I want to know what Opus 4.5 scored. Probably just wanted to create that marginal difference to show off, but I mean, realistically, just the jump to 1 million tokens is good enough for me. Okay, so they did something here. Long context retrieval. All right, guys, so we're really in for a ride, huh? And what this means for us when we are going to start operating and throwing up parallel terminals, and maybe you're using, like, let's say the GSD plugin, Get Shit Done, and you want to operate under different plans. That means I don't think we're going to have to clear context as much, but it's probably always going to be the best thing to do. Clear context, start a new phase, clear, start a new phase. But this is going to probably allow us to do more with our sub agents as well. We're going to be able to get way more power out of the sub agents. So we could delegate more tasks to the sub agents for bigger ticket objectives. But a lot of this is just hearsay and just what I'm reading. I have to actually start to use it before I can give you my full opinion. But they've already, rocked my socks away anyways. Okay, so I guess the trial and error, I'm probably going to, whine less at 4.6 that I did 4.5, but I'm sure we're going to run into some issues with bug fixes and whatnot. Okay, so 4.6 is a better boy than 4.5 apparently. Never really had any issues with that. Overall misaligned behavior. Yeah, so I mean, it is becoming more concise. I have noticed this with every single language model. All right, and then there's just some API updates that you guys can control with your API. I'm not using it on an API side at all. But that's pretty much it for the Opus 4.6 update. And again, we're all going to have to test it and use it, especially when it comes to fixing bugs and basically one-shotting projects. But the future isn't really too hopeful for OpenAI. They'd have to really up their game and do something different than what they're doing to really get me to consider keeping the subscription, because right now I'm paying $100 a month for the max times 5 plan with Claude. I love it. I don't think I'll ever unless they fall into a OpenAI situation, I'll be with them for a while. But the extra $20, I don't really think it's going to be worth it once Anthropic really picks it up with some of the, I guess even the CLI versions of Opus or Claude Code. Once that starts to level up, I'm going to have to do away with GPT. But let me know, what are your thoughts What are you currently using Claude Code for? What are you building? I do a lot of these videos quite often, so if you want to see more honest reviews and tech breakdowns when it comes to Claude Code, NAN, SaaS products, subscribe and definitely like the video. It helps me out a lot. If you want deeper breakdowns, consider joining my school. It's in the description below. I have many Claude Code and NAN templates, and I'm building out a full A to Z SaaS product launch that you guys can be a part of and learn from as I build in public for my product, Casegate, which is something I talk about in school. But until then, I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.